guys, Thomas the Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. If you end up enjoying this full movie review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition to help out smaller YouTubers. Second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly. And fourth, to my Discord server, where you can join, collab, and share your content for free. And chilling will be reminded at the end of the review. With all that out of the way, let's get into the Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Alright, so I have not seen any trailers for this, but it is a short movie. It is a 30-minute-ish movie based off of a children's book, if I'm not mistaken, but based off of when I was looking it up. It seemed to be based off of a book. And it follows, well, these four characters, as obvious as the title is. Despite that, we start with the boy, so we actually are going in order of the animals and human introduced, who's the first and seems or appears to be lost. This implication already seems to be like he has no parents or has lost his parents, or in a more broader sense has lost his way in general, like he doesn't know what he wants to do in his life. This movie, or short, or whatever you want to call it, seems to be a very heavy theme-based movie, as a lot of the lines around this little short seem to pertain to some sort of bigger theme or some sort of life lesson that you can sort of take with you along the way. Anyways, the boy, shortly after being lost, bumps, or the mole appears in the snow. The mole apparently wants some cake, which is a short-running gag throughout the movie that's just sort of there, but whatever. And this is where we start to see and hear some of the questions, like, what does the boy want to be? As in, like, you know, when you're asked in school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the boy simply answers, kind. It is sort of interesting when you get asked, like, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? And most people generally tend to answer with some sort of occupation. But here, asked again, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the boy just answers, kind. And it's baffling to me that even personally I never even considered that, you know, a state of being is something that you would want to be later on in life. Despite whatever job you may want to come across. So I actually do appreciate that they leave it broad in that way. But still get across that obviously there is also a very narrow-ish type answer in its form. Anyway, the boy heads to the river with the mole, and here we can see like this little far out into sort of the forest area, and this boy is constantly dreaming about what a home is, and he knows that he needs one, but seems to be in that lost state of affairs. This is around the time the fox moves in, and he initially seems to attack them, the two of them, while they're on the tree, so the fox is unable to get to them. However, when the fox leaves on his own accord, he ends up getting trapped. So the mole ends up helping the fox. So Fox sort of leaves, quote unquote, or, makes some distance. And we have some sort of thing about freedom at this point. I forget the exact quote, but I just wanted to mention wherever a more broad theme is brought into the movie as I wrote those down. But we do see that the fox returns when the mole snowballs into the river. The fox returns to save the mole, so a save for a save appears to be, and the fox again continues to sort of follow them at a distance as they sort of are now traveling together. And this is about the time where they spot the final animal in the horse. And naturally the horse in tow also begins to follow them. This is about where they leave the wooded area with the fox sort of again playing into that distant territory but still sort of following them. And this is where we see the boy playing with the horse, on the horse and all that good stuff. And they're messing around in the snow, just having a good old time. And they say around this part is messing around, or just, I think they literally say messing around, or just like having fun, is always, with friends, is always considered something, because the boy was talking about how there was nothing to do, or felt like there was nothing to do. So they're trying to inspire them in this sort of quick friendship that is clearly forming between these animals and human here. So, as they continue onward, the horse speeds up with the boy on horseback. However, the boy falls the first time over, and the boy falls luckily into the water and not worse off. And the horse comes back to pick him back up. And this is where the boy starts crying, and the horse makes a claim that I completely stand by, in that when he was allowing himself to cry, that is not a strength. I mean, that it is a strength rather than not a weakness, as the boy seems to almost insinuate that, I think, in the dialogue at some point, but I don't remember if that was an exact, but point being is that the horse lets him know that is an okay thing for him to do. Anyway, so the boy spots the lights from the city. And as they're sort of at the edge of the town, the fox begins to talk a little bit more, saying that he feels like he himself is not that very interesting. And the horse replies in kind that just being honest about that is in itself an interesting quality, to sort of assure him back to a state of, not being down on himself. The horse continues to reflect sort of his attitude, and asking for help is one of the bravest things to do, because it is the attempt of refusing to give up. And I really, again, I would say out of the four themes or / characters, I think the horse is the most fascinating in what he's offering here. And so at this point, when they have now been compiled for a little bit long, the mole says, instead of saying, "I love you all already" in this short span of time, he says that a phrase that would replace that sort of claim would be, "I'm glad that you're all here," and then redeems his sentence by repeating it. And then later on in the movie, we see him repeat it again. But around this point, a storm begins to form. This is where the boy falls again, and the four keep each other close company as the storm is picking up. And this is where the horse talks about how the bad things around you will eventually pass. And in this little brief moment, the boy feels a lot more hopeless and feels like giving up. The horse says that the mind will try to play tricks on you, and to being that type of hopeless through a time of difficulty, and that is the thing that you have to fight. The horse says that he can fly, which would make him a Pegasus, technically speaking. So he does elongate his wings out for them to get on. So they travel closer to the town. Well, actually, now they're at the edge. I said that they're at the edge earlier, but they get I think the storm, it was like a little bit distanced away. Anyway, point being is that the boy is getting ready to say goodbye. However, the boy at this point realizes that home isn't always, and the last theme, as he carries along this little sentiment, is that home isn't a location, but rather the people that, or in this case creatures, that he has been grouped along his little journey here, and continues to return to the said animals instead of returning to the home. And that was The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the House. A really well animated short, based again off of a children's book, which I think really demonstrates that simplicity is really sometimes the brevity of certain things, and even within that brevity you can still find things that you never even considered. Again, like one of the earliest things where I said about how generally when people are asked what do you want to be when you grow up, most people tend to think of a job, or at least that's what I remember in school, is that most people, said a fireman or whatever they wanted to be when they grow up, and not responded with an attitude, which again isn't something that never really even crossed my mind. As I'm sure I've been asked that in the past and answered in some sort of form of a job in my previous as a child. I'm pretty sure that was my go-to. Point being is that throughout this movie, or short, or whatever you want to call it, is that it surrounds itself with quite a number of themes, some that can be very broadly applied here, about not giving up, and the strength of asking for help, and all of these little things in between. And just the weight of it, even as simplistic as this movie ended up being, I found myself rather emotional at it, and this to me is proof that you don't need overcomplication to sort of evoke these feelings. You can really just really heavily lean on just really short but potent dialogue that can be very direct but broad. And I do think that these things being said here are things that are definitely glad are being reinforced at a time like this. So, yeah. In terms of flaws in the movie, or short, I couldn't spot any as far as I'm concerned. Being as objective as possible, I found myself, every little detail just seemed to move them, and the themes just sort of came and went, or came and were told as is. And for that purpose, I think objectively, or sorry, bleh, I will say objectively speaking, there we go, that this movie, to me, is a 10 out of 10. Uh, yeah, I really do think that this movie absolutely nails what it is going for. Uh, a truly well animated, gripping, themed based little short with these four little uh, broad characters that can, apply. You can, through those characters, you apply those heavy themes through them. Um, the boy seems to be one of uncertainty, but seeking that certainty, and so on and so forth. The fox feeling as once the threatener of the group at the earlier point, now not, as one that is now following them, seems to have lost what he made of any interest to the group. The mole representing sort of this group dynamic that they have formed and sort of reinforcement of that quick bond that they have formed, and the horse reinforcing what I feel are the more important themes throughout of when things that you consider a weakness to actually be considered a strength of character rather than a weakness of character. And yeah, so if you have not checked this out, I would actually highly recommend it. And with that, I cap out the year of 2022 with this video. So yeah, it's been a while, I feel like, since my last 10 out of 10. I think that was Everything Everywhere All at Once was the last 10 out of 10 I gave. So yeah, it's been a while, I think, since that movie came out at this point. But anyway, point being, highly recommend it. And that is, again, it for this year. If you end up enjoying this full review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my petition, second and third to my Patreon and PayPal, where you can help support me and my channel directly, and fourth to my Discord server. Until next time, everyone, bye-bye, and see you next year.